Okay, we are live, Mr. Duke Lowry. Are you ready for a countdown?
I am ready to get this ball rolling, baby.
Let's do a countdown. Well, hello, Mr. Duke Lowry. How are you this evening?
I am just peachy, Rex Moncrief. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, but I keep saying this every show we have. I've got to get rid of those Cypress District board members in our countdown. I've just got to find the time to get rid of that.
Yeah, it is getting a little old, and we are slacking a little bit. But you know what? It's a sign of the times. It's 2021, and there's a lot of there's a lot of slacking going on.
There is a lot of slacking and a lot of stuff going on too. So let's kind of get into it. Why don't we go ahead
Hey,
and get started?
before you get started, I just wanted to let you know that I have uh, your Christmas gift ready
Oh, really? Did you buy
for
me some
next
fishing?
year.
Oh,
I,
for next year, huh? Oh, well, let me see. Do I need to share over to your screen?
yeah, I think you do. I wanted you to see this. I already know what I'm getting you.
All right, hold on a second. Let me get this thing here set up. So I need to share that to Duke's screen. Oh, yes. Outstanding. I need a new
How was
Lego
that?
set.
It's Thor.
It's Thor. Now,
Who
look,
knew that he was in a Lego set?
I just got to get this out there real quick. And look, I know that, the one lady was shot, as she was trying to get into the Capitol building and on into the area. And I know that there was a policeman who was hit with a fire extinguisher and died a day or two later, or whatever that was. And I think one other policeman who's apparently committed suicide. So I'm not trying to make light of that. But I got to tell you something. The fact that a group of people were able to take over the Capitol without guns, led by a fur skin cap guy with horns on his head and patriotic face paint carrying a spear is, I mean, it's straight up out of South Park or something.
And I'm going to tell you something too. My personal opinion, the guy right there, if you look kind of in the middle of the screen holding Nancy Pelosi's lectern, I mean, I think he's getting slighted.
Yeah, I think he is. That smile on his face as he was just nonchalant. Hey, wait a minute. What everybody's missing about carrying the lectern out is he had to carry it outside across a parking lot, and it's not like they pulled their trucks up to the Capitol steps. I wonder how far he had to carry that lectern to get it in his pickup truck and go to, where was it, Florida or wherever he went?
Look, I don't know if you heard, but I heard they arrested him in Florida, and that's where they got the lectern at.
That's insanity. And so again, I'm not trying to make light of the bad side of it that happened and all that, but this is, if I'd have told you a year ago that this would have happened and that our country would have been 50% or more shut down over a virus, I'm quite sure you would have tried to check me into the nearest insane asylum.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so take me off the screen there.
All right, let me get you switched over back to just us. Go ahead. All right, there we go.
Minimize that out of there and get back out of there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fun show tonight. You want to we put a little announcement out about what we were going to talk about and the subject matter, and I think it's something that everybody is kind of talking about.
Yes. Let me just kind of tease it up a little bit. Would it have to do with the potential demise of the Republican Party?
Boy, I'll tell you, that is a common subject of discussion. My phone has blown up. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And
Yeah,
complaint.
it's not like liberals are saying, you know, and the left is saying, Democrats are saying it's the demise of the Republican Party. These are Republicans saying the Republican Party is done. It's gaining steam.
It is gaining steam, and that brings me to well, we'll do the old screen sharing thing. I'll share a couple of comments that
All right, here we go. There you go.
right there. How's that?
That looks good. Yeah, Donald Trump received over 74 million votes, the most supporting a Republican candidate ever, and almost 14 million more than Mitt Romney. If the GOP wants to remain a viable party, then it shouldn't dismiss tens of millions of voters just to posture for the belligerent, rigged media. Yep, no doubt about that.
Yeah, yeah. That's one comment. Let's go to another one.
While you're doing that, Mr. Barry Butler is watching, and he said, "Be calm and stay at home." And Barry was in D.C. on that Wednesday.
And there's another one from Kim Bonomo Johnson, and you can see that right there.
I believe the violence at the Capitol is orchestrated by the deep state, Democrats and Republicans alike. Hooray for her. Their agenda is playing out right before our eyes. Hashtag stop kneeling at the feet of evil.
There you go. Well, now you can have this have me back and take away my screen.
All right. Well, I'm going to share this one out. So let's see. Let me switch back over to us. And I'm going to, I think I can do it this way. Let me try this. So I'm just going to share this up here in between. It says, first meeting of the Northeast Philly Patriot Party group tonight at 7 p.m. Please message. This is, I don't know this person, but this is Dave Stokowski. You know, we've been seeing a lot of calls for this Patriot Party. A lot of them. From some.
Yeah, that's one of them. And don't you have another one?
Yeah, let's see. The Patriot Party of the U.S. or the one from Brian Connell. Let's drag this one over there. Here we go. This is the Brian Connell one. I'm in. Who is with me?
Now these people that made these posts, like those aren't politicos. Those aren't people who that is organic, as we would say.
Yeah, I would say, you know, average Republicans like you and I, you know, just the average citizens out there on the street.
Yeah, and what I found, like in those comments, and I kind of went poking along, and what I found was there was legitimately, I mean, there was people motivated. There were people that were ready. I mean, people that you normally don't see fired up about making a move or doing something or trying to turn the corner or affect change. They're wound up tight. They're ready to do something.
Yes, they are. All right, so let's go ahead and set up to introduce our guest. And since, of course, you made the contact and got this set up, would you like to go ahead and introduce her?
I will. And what got me to her was I kind of started looking a little bit more, in which I totally, and I know you do too, because we talked about it in our last show, the disenchantment with politics in general and the way things are going, and that things needed to change. So it seems like that this Patriot Party movement is gaining some steam and going somewhere. But then when you try to look for some organization, it's a little bit here, a little bit there. It's kind of, and I came across a couple of articles and one person in particular, and it seemed like this was where the focal point of the organization was at. And so I reached out to this individual, and they were willing to come on the show and talk to us about the Patriot Party.
Well, let's go ahead and bring her in. So I'm going to pull up the screen, and we've got her one of her pictures up there in the logo. Katie, are you with us? Maybe unmute. There you go. Say hello.
Hi, guys.
Howdy.
Hello, Katie.
Hi
All
from
right.
Texas.
The big state of Texas. Hey,
Yes, the great state of Texas.
I got to give you Texans credit. Looks like when the proverbial stuff hit the fan at the Capitol, I think there were what 3 reps, if I'm not mistaken, from Texas that were going to stand their ground, actually grab pieces of furniture to stand their ground. That's
Oh, yeah.
what we
Yeah.
like to see.
Yeah, Texas, I'm proud to be from Texas because we actually have politicians in Washington that you hear from in the right ways.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a refreshing thing. We certainly have our rhinos. So, um, it looks to be the same across all 50 states.
Well, as Duke can testify, we've got plenty of rhinos over here in our neck of the woods too. That's kind of one of the things we do with the show here is try to point out things like that, starting on a local level, but working our way up. So, Duke, you got a couple of questions you want to fire off, or?
Yeah, Katie and I today had a really good, productive conversation, and just shared a lot of thoughts about the state of the country, the state of politics, and what was needed to make change. And one of the interesting things that struck me was that Katie's not a politician. She's not a politico like you and I, Rex. She is a true blue grassroots person. And I won't go on bragging about Katie, but Katie, I'll say this: you already know the answer, but what what got you started? What was the thing that you did that kind of kick started you taking action?
It really started. My husband and I were actually sitting on our back porch, and I said, we're sitting here while we have riots and people getting hurt. We have people stealing from stores because of course Target can afford it through their insurance. And I mean, we're just sitting here with this stuff building and building, and I felt like we were sitting on our hands. We're just sitting on our hands, and so I said, "Honey, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna put a boat parade." I saw a boat parade in South Carolina, somewhere, on Facebook, and I thought, "Oh wow, we have a really great lake here." So I said, "We're gonna throw a boat parade," and my husband says, "Well." We're going to make some people mad, they're going to be upset with us. And, I said, well, so be it. And so I put together an event on Facebook, and, it literally said, hopefully we'll have 40 to 50 people show up. And it kept growing and growing and growing. And the event actually had 6.8 thousand people interested or going by the end of it. And that day when we showed up, there were over 700 boats. We had over 4,500 people from shore to shore. It was just amazing. It was just so it just was so uplifting. It was 105 degrees in Texas, and we had the chills. It was just amazing, and it sent us into the move of, hey, you know what? I'm good at organizing. I can throw an event together in 10 minutes. So let's just do this. Let's just get people a place to go, a safe place to bring their flags and not worry about the opposition and the noise that you hear because you want to be proud to be an American. I mean, we literally would drive down and we would have a Trump and an American flag, and we tested it out. I said, let's just take the Trump flag off today and see how it goes for us, just driving around town. And we literally still got the bird with American flags on our truck. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, how is that okay? That now the American flag no longer represents America. It represents this hate for a man. Like we've lost the even value in the flag. And so, I mean, that just kind of sent us into a whole whirlwind of, politics was the last thing I wanted to be involved with. It really was. It wasn't an area I wanted to stick my toe in. You know, I've dipped them in a lot of ponds, but that was not one I wanted. And we, 5 boat parades, flag waves, rallies, all done by me and my husband. We had the tools and the ability to do it, and that's what we did. So that's
Well,
kind of how we started this.
yeah, I'd like to interject real quick because you bring up a good point. Is that I don't or I think what a lot of people don't understand is that it's not just about Trump himself. It's what Trump getting elected has inspired in people to actually start paying attention to the government. The whole drain the swamp thing, there's no way you could drain the swamp of Washington, D.C. effectively, but what the Trump presidency and everything in between has done is got a lot more people interested who honestly have been asleep at the wheel for a couple of decades. And you're right.
100%.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you have a boat parade like that. I know we had some of them over here on the local lakes, not near as large as what you had. But yeah, it's great to see those people out there and paying attention.
It's good to just give them a place to go and feel like they're not alone. That was my main thing, is I felt all alone. I was in this angry bubble. I'm like, I am so mad at the world, but I'm sitting here on my hands. And I know that everybody else felt the same way. And that showed, when we showed up and all those people came out, they felt the same way we did. And the thing with Trump, the problem that we have, and it's not a problem. Trump is a man who stands on policies that we stand on. It's not so much Trump, the person that we're all supporting and voting for. Yes, he is who he is. But ultimately, we vote for policy. And unfortunately, the hate for one person has gotten to be so bad that we're not looking at policy. We're willing to vote for somebody who completely stands against our policy because we can't vote for Trump because he's a bad man. He's the bad orange guy. We
Well,
can't do that. We have to open up these issues.
I just put up a comment from our Facebook feed, and this is from Kenneth Jenkins. He says the Republicans are done. They don't have the answers because they are the reason we're here. So
100%.
yeah,
They're just as distraught as everybody else
well,
in a big scheme of
and it
things.
seems like they've been the main what I call the mainstream or establishment Republicans, which seems to be the vast majority of them now. They voted counter to what the American people and specifically Trump supporters uh, have seemed to stand for, especially in the last 30 days, has just gone bunker. So why don't you kind of take us through the Patriot movement and how it kind of evolved from, let's say, those boat parades and Trump parades and all that into what you're trying to do now? I mean, what is the goal?
The goal, in a very short way of explaining, I guess, would be we need to become one voice. We need to become we the people, and that's through organization. And that's where this is leading. That's where we need to go. We need to unite across the states instead of on local levels. We can't be in a city. For Texas, I know every state they have their own thing. In Texas, we have cities, but then within those cities we have different divisions, and nobody's really you know paying attention. Nobody really knows what's going on. No one's really getting involved. And so we're going to make a way for people to get involved. There's so many people out there that want to make a change, and we just don't know where to start. You know, for my husband, he thought maybe I run for city council, maybe I do this. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I can do this, or I can go run for school board, or I can do this. Well, God has other plans. I'd love to do that because I love children. That's definitely a passion. But we need to the time now is to find these people that feel displaced by the Democrats and the Republicans, and it's time to bring them together as one strong voice, instead of voices screaming in their districts across states.
All right.
We're not moving in any direction right now, so we need to really become one. We need to be we the people.
Duke, I'm just kind of interjecting here because
Yeah.
Kenneth put another comment up, and it kind of segues. back to what Katie was talking about. So, Katie, is this actually a party, or is it just kind of a loose organization? One of Kenneth's comments here is, what is their platform? They got to be more than just a name. I mean, are y'all thinking about, or at least your organization thinking about, an actual platform and endorsing candidates, or having candidates run? I mean, do you have an end goal with that?
I guess right now you could say we are a accountability movement. We're just trying to figure out how it goes. Personally, for me, when I took the plunge into this, it's, and for our team as well, we have decided, I mean, everybody's in the same position. We're all up in a gamble. We really don't know what we're doing. We're just trying to make a difference. And for me personally, as a nation, I don't feel we're ready for a party. So we're not a party per se at this moment, but we are a movement that is going to, we're constitutional conservatives. We believe in the Constitution of the United States as a whole, and we believe in the Bill of Rights as human rights. And that's our stance. And we believe in God, we believe in family, and we believe in country. And that's what we need to try and zone in on.
Okay. Duke, you want to,
Katie,
I just put Mike's comment
yeah,
up. Do you want to take that?
and then yeah, and then I want to say something, Rex. You know that.
I thought you did.
And so Katie and I talked a lot. Rex didn't get the opportunity to talk to Katie. So as you and I talked kind of earlier today, and in just what you articulated is that, your goal and your organization, and one of the things was that when I looked across the board, I saw there were multiple different Patriot Party or groups in different states or what have you. And it seemed like that your group and the Texas group was the most organized. And you and I kind of talked about that a little bit, and you explained that there is some communication between the other groups and trying to get on the same page. Like, for example, the Arizona group. You want to talk about that just a little bit, and then Rex, we'll go back to what Collier put up.
Sure.
As far as the one that we're, as in the ones that we're speaking with.
Correct.
Is that what the one? Okay. So there, in doing my research and kind of figuring out where we want to go as a team, I was involved in some conversations, regarding a party. It's a great idea, and people are so fired up right now. They're just looking for that place. But unfortunately, no, for me, my dad is a boomer, and I'm not quite sure he's as up to date with what's going on in the social media world and all these things. So it's kind of, we are more of a movement that wants to come across. Eventually we plan to hopefully endorse. That's the goal. The goal, if we are, endorsing Republicans at this point, or, hey, if somebody gets it together and they form an organization and we have a Patriot Party, well, then maybe we will, endorse for the Patriot Party. But as of now, our organization will be really just kind of doing the research. We're going to hang back for a minute. We're going to figure out what's going on. We're going to provide people with the knowledge that they need that's not laid out in layman terms. We're going to provide the right information that you need to get. And then hopefully, it's not to say we can't endorse, candidates in the future, but at this point, as a movement, I can't see being ready to endorse candidates by 2022 and have enough support behind a party candidate at this point. So we're kind of, that's, obviously with any new organization, that's up in the air at this point, but we don't, we're not leaving that off the table or anything like that. But as far as we're going, you could say more, we're gonna start cleaning up the Republican Party.
Which brings Collier's comment up, perfect. And Collier, if y'all are watching, you can see Republicans need to regroup and focus on 2022. We need to seize the moment. Third party is not the answer. Primary the rhinos and march forward. And so many people are disgusted with the Republican Party, or I would argue the uniparty, as they say. And I know in talking to you, Katie, and I know in talking to Rex, y'all feel the exact same way. You're disgusted as well too, especially what we see going on in DC. And one of the things I've shared before was that one of the reasons I supported Trump is not because I thought Trump was this great guy or that I really liked him. It was because I come to the conclusion long ago that our biggest problem was Washington D.C. itself, and that it was broken, and that we needed someone to be a wrecking ball there. And he was the best guy for being that wrecking ball, and I would argue that he did that.
100%. I'm with you there.
And moving forward from that, a lot of folks are ready to make a change now. And I think a lot of people are down in the weeds on individual issues, and they're mad and they want to do something, and it takes a whole lot more than supporting or believing in one issue to start a whole new party, and really make it successful. Wouldn't you agree?
100%. Definitely. I mean, as of right now, my suggestion for anybody wanting to get involved at this point, at this moment in time, you need to, if your flame is burning and you want to get involved, you need to go figure out your local situation, school boards, city council. You need to go see what's going on. And that's where you can start right now. Hopefully we'll be able to branch out eventually and provide things across the states for you to do your own districts. But of course, every state is different. So it's going to take time to create a movement. But we definitely have a great start. And, my best suggestion is for you to just, take that burning flame that you have right now that's angry and confused, and go do something with it, and go start at a school district. Go, like I said, city council. There's many here in Texas. We have, precincts. We have different things that you can get involved with. If you don't want to be in a political arena, then there's other areas. Get involved as a volunteer and find a candidate that you support and you stand behind, because they have integrity. Integrity and politics, I never thought they'd go in the same sentence, but hopefully eventually we will get them somewhat close. But, that's my best suggestion at this point is get involved, find out what you can do, find out what's going on in your own city, because that's where it starts.
Katie, so I'm pulling up on another screen here for a second. Looks like is y'all's Facebook page is the Patriot Movement of Texas, correct?
Yes.
All right, so I want to make sure I get the right one. It's got y'all's logo on it because there's, of course, several different groups. So I'm going to share this out on my screen. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so you mentioned about getting involved and the things that y'all are going to try to do as far as information. Where is the best place for people, because of course we'll be following you too, where is the best place for people to find information? Is it website? Is it Facebook? Other social media platforms?
What we're suggesting everybody do at this point is we would like for you to come to our website. It's patriotmovementoftexas.com. And there you can register. It doesn't matter which state you're in. Just come to the Texas website and register. Once we align with the right movements across the states, then your state will become available on our website. And then there you'll be able to find your local information and follow the trusted source there in your state. And so, until then, again, we are just a starting organization. It's going to take some time, but we have some warriors on our team, and we have some really amazing movements picking up in other states. So, that's where that conversation, I'll go back to your Duke, the guy in Arizona. He's on the same mission as us. He has the same core values. He has the same standards. He has the same everything that we stand for. And so, those are the kind of people we're going to be looking to align with on things. And then once we do that, you can, like I said, go to the website, register there. We'll categorize everything by state. And then once we pick up, then you'll have that trusted place that you can go to find the information you need. And that will all be available on our website initially. That's how we have to start here. And then eventually, we may get to the point where we have another platform for the movement across. It just kind of depends on how it pans out right now.
So currently in the state of Louisiana, do y'all have anyone kind of heading things up, or with this movement in Louisiana?
We've been in talks with a few people. I found a really awesome person that I think would be incredible. But everybody has their own motives, their own skills, their own agendas. So we really need somebody that can focus, that can focus on creating the movement, and that being their base and the state. So if, of course, since you guys are in Louisiana, we've had a few conversations, but as of right now, I don't have any confirmation, but I think, we're kind of moving in that direction. So Louisiana, hopefully we'll have something moving pretty quickly. Right now we're more connected with Arizona. We have a few connections in Pennsylvania, so it's just kind of spinning as we go. But we are definitely picking up some steam here across the states.
The irony is, Kenneth has another comment, said Facebook will remove their page if it gets any traction. The irony is we're kind of going full circle. I agree with you, directing people to your website first, because at least with a website, the only thing you really have to deal with is the domain registration and the hosting service. You don't have the middleman like Facebook or Twitter or whatever that, on their whim, they'll try to shut you down. So I think that's actually, from a tech standpoint, a very good idea.
Yeah, we can't rely on social media anymore. That's not our avenue.
We're going to have to go back to email and
old school.
IRC
We got pen
chat.
and paper. Hey, guys, you know what else we need? We need pagers and payphones. We need to not be reached 24 hours a day. I'd be okay with it.
We're going back to flip phones before long. No more smartphones.
Hey, I'll take it. We're I'll just throw this out there. These things people are mad, and there's a lot of good people out there that are mad. And, there's new things that we need that are going to, the blocks that we have, we will soon be walking over those blocks. Obviously we need the things we have now. But there are ways to create things that necessarily, you don't need a pager or a flip phone, but you can feel confident with what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, Katie, I've looked for an opportunity to kind of ask this question or bring it up for you to tell this story, but you enlightened me today when we were talking about issues, and you were sharing some of your values, and we were talking about some of the tenets of a platform that would be of importance to people, and we were talking about abortion. And ironically, the pro-life movement came from a place that the majority of the folks that would be watching the show and in our community would be shocked to know. And I'll let you tell that story.
Are you referring to the history lesson that I?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm going to give you credit. You educated me today.
Hey, you know what? I was educated that day, and I was blessed for it. So, I like to say that I go down some rabbit holes, and I find myself down the most random ones. And after our first boat parade, I had a lot of friends that are Black. I had friends. My husband's Hispanic, and so I had some Black friends reaching out. They wanted to know. I'm sorry. Hang on.
Well, it looks like you're not the only one that has the pets.
Sorry, yeah, I got a zoo here. I
had to lock mine out. They're probably tearing the couch apart right now.
Oh yeah. I don't know what mine are. I don't know. You know how it goes. I have teenage kids, so who knows what they're getting into. The dogs are telling on them. But anyways, I went down this rabbit hole because after our boat parade, one of my really good friends, she's a Black woman, and I grew up with her, and she wrote me a message, and she said, "Hey, I really love what you're doing. I hope Trump gets reelected, but I can't say anything." And I thought, oh, that's terrible. Like, how, I mean, you feel trapped in yourself right now because we're angry at the Republicans, but imagine being somebody who feels conservative, but yet they can't express it in their community. Um, and so, that sent me down that rabbit hole. So I ended up on the phone with a pro-life gentleman out of LA. He's a reverend, and he enlightened me that one of the first pro-life groups was actually the Black Panthers. And when they saw what was going on with Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood, they kind of, they put their guard up and they said, wait a minute, we feel like, this is kind of geared toward us, but they really didn't know, but they had that feeling. And so they held a meeting and they went back behind closed doors and they said, look, this isn't right. We kind of see what's going on. We kind of see what they're doing. And at that time, the men in the group and the ladies there, the ladies spoke up and they said, well, wait a minute, what about us? We're the ones that are having babies and we want to get women's care, and, we want to be able to not get pregnant. And so the Black Panthers thought, you know what, we need to protect our ladies. And they're right. They should have access to health care, and, they should have access to these things because, I mean, we are who we are. And so that's how Planned Parenthood kind of stuck, and it kind of got its steam, and it didn't go away. They put up the alert and they said, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. But they thought they were doing right. So they let their guard down. And, that's kind of, I mean, obviously it's taken snowball and picked up some tree limbs and, some bushes along the way now. But originally, it's just it's crazy if you really sit back, and it's not the history that you're going to learn in history books. This is real generational history that we don't learn in history books. And until you take the time to sit down with somebody and figure out, what bothers them, what is it? The killer question I had this entire election was, give me one policy that you're voting for Biden on, just one. And the only thing I could get from somebody is he's nice. He's nice. And I said, nice. Okay, well, that's not good. I mean, everybody can be nice. But we really have to look at policies, guys. We have to go back to that. That's where it really, we got to look past Republican and Democrat. We got to look past pro. We got to look at real life issues.
Well,
and not the person.
I just shared something on the screen here to segue off your Black Panthers deal. A lot of people don't realize that, and I'm huge into the Second Amendment, and our Second Amendment, our rights as protected by the Second Amendment, let me say that correctly. Mm-hmm. Most people don't realize that the Black Panthers actually were one of the first groups to storm the capital of California armed. Not that they were trying to take over the government, they were trying to prove a point, and they were legally within their rights. And they were trying to prove the point of, black oppression back in the 60s. And a lot of the black community is actually pro-gun and pro-protecting themselves. But this started the movement of gun control in California. And guess who was governor that signed the initial legislation? None other than Ronald Reagan. And look, I'm a big Reagan guy. I grew up, I was in high school in the 80s, and I remember Reagan and his speeches and ridiculously inspiring and all that. But Reagan's the one that started the gun control in California based on the Black Panthers exercising their Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, and then you have Joe Biden come up behind him and do the crime bill.
Exactly. So it's just,
so it's all just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
One
Things
party is not much different than the other.
Nope, they're not.
And I asked that question of you because I thought it was a good segue from that into the other discussion that we had, which was that this movement isn't about really Republican or Democrat. It's about trying to get good governance for everybody. And there is a place. I mean, Katie, you and I talked about the approval rating of Congress. when you have an approval rating in the 20s, that can't be all Republicans or just all Democrats. It's a lot of both of them, right?
Yep, yep. And like I said, if you go to Google and you type in, "Am I a Democrat or a Republican?" You can take a little test, and we can all take it, and none of us, okay, well, a few of us, but the majority of us are gonna fall in the middle, and then we're gonna lean right or we're gonna lean left. Those issues that we're leaning on, we need to bring to the table. That's where we're falling short. That's where we're not uniting here on the same page. Yes, immigration is an issue. Yes, abortion is an issue. There are a ton of issues, but we can't let one man who's running and because you don't like the man, you forget the policy or you overlook the policy. That's the problem. We can't overlook these people. That's how these dirt bags get in here, excuse me. But that's how they get in here. That's because the Republicans really kind of got me going this year, because when I figured out, hey, vote red, just vote red so we can all ride the coattails of Donald Trump. Vote red. And then we all go and we vote red. We're trusting, hey, Oklahoma, I mean, they went 75% for Donald Trump. We are trusting if you vote red, they are, these guys are going to stand up for us. And I mean, I made a phone call the day after the election, because the day after the election, we had people saying, Trump, give it up. And it's like, wait a minute, you just rode the coattails, and then you even gave us a defined piece of paper with each candidate to vote for because they were red. And so we did that. And then all those red people we voted for and checked off on the box, guess what? They are not standing on that hearing floor saying we object to this certification. How are you, as a representative of Oklahoma, where they wanted Donald Trump for 75%, with blatant, obvious things going on, how are you not going to stand for your citizens? How are you not going to do that? Even if it was a 55% vote for Donald Trump, that's what your state wanted. So you should stand on what your state wanted. And why aren't you? That's the killer question.
Well, and I put up a comment from Tony Thornton here. Thanks for joining the show and watching, Tony. And it's kind of long, so I'll read it real quick. We have to educate ourselves about our government. As an average citizen never involved at all with politics, it's very eye-opening. He believes the average citizen has no clue who and what they're voting for and on. We have to be passionate about what we stand for, who we vote for to work for us, and our party needs to help educate the average citizen. And that segues right into what you're talking about, Katie. Basically,
Yep.
with at least what I can see, what your group's initial goal is.
We're laying it out in layman terms. You want to run for a precinct chair, this is what they do. Figure out if it's for a good fit for you. I mean, we really want to provide a step-by-step guide for all the patriots out there that want to make a difference. We're going to help you do that. And then we can all come together as one voice while you do that, because that's what we have to have. No, we can't have people sitting at home anymore, not getting involved. If you're going to be out screaming and waving a flag, then you best get out and do something else if you have extra time. It comes out, if we're at the point where you have to be committed. If you can't just wave a flag and say, oh man, I hope it changes. No, you have to get involved. You have to go do something. It doesn't change without action. So my encouragement is just start getting involved. Ask questions. Call your local city right now and find out who's in what office, how many offices there are, what the layout is. I mean, hopefully we can get that information to you. But I mean, in the meantime, you guys, there's 100 things we can do as citizens sitting at home on our hands. There's tons. It's just a matter of finding out what to do. And so hopefully our movement will give everybody that jump start to say, okay, we can trust these people. They're like us. They're the ones, they feel the same way as we do. Like, we just want to live in a free country. We just want to love each other. We don't want to judge each other's sins every other day and be pinned up against each other because the media said to be. We don't want to be masked, to be, locked somewhere and then shoved away to be conformed. I mean, we have to stand up, guys. We have to stand up. You cannot sit by any longer and wait. So the time is now. The time is now. That come to the website, register. Hopefully these movements will start picking up. it does take time because I'm very strict on who we align with. There is an application that these states will pick up from us and make sure they're aligning with our core values, because that's where we get off path. So we have to align 100%. You have to agree across the states that this is what we stand for. And when we find those movements, you'll find them on our website.
Well said, Katie, and we appreciate you coming on. And I tell you what, we'll check back with you, and we may have you come back in and give us a report on how things are going. I know today you shared with us that you've got folks in multiple states across the country, and it's moving really fast. And perhaps you will come back and tell us about who's going to be the head person in Louisiana.
Most definitely. As soon as I hear confirmation and I know which way we're going, we'll definitely get that information out there to you guys as soon as possible. And, and anybody that's out there listening in Louisiana, if you want to message and say, hey, how do I get involved? Let us know what you can do, what you want to do, how you want to get involved. And then when we pick up your movement, we can direct, whoever picks up the movement to you and let them know, hey, this person wants to volunteer. They want to help. They can create weight, whatever they can add to your table. That's how we're going to get this done. Like you said, we got to take it old school. It's not the electric car anymore. We're going back to cart and buggy. So
do they have to be a Politico?
I don't know.
Maybe just average citizens, concerned citizens. Keep some of the politicians out of it.
Yeah, let's leave the horned warriors at home. The horned ones are good for publicity, but let's leave the horned warriors at home. That's that 1% that goes far right. We have all of them, and I guess that's the way the media wants to portray us. So, and that's the sad thing. That's the other thing that really got me mad. I know we all need to go, but was the fact that the media wants to paint us as the radical right and the radical left. All of us are standing here going, well, I don't get a fight. I'm not going to go punch that guy in the face. Like, I'm not going to, I don't want to beat her up. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to, that's not, we might feel feisty, but we're not those people. And, unfortunately, or fortunately, the left, the Democrats that I know and the family and friends that I have, they're not Antifa, and they're not, rioting on the streets, and they're not burning down buildings. Those are the far rights and lefts that I'm talking about, that the media says, well, this is the Republicans and this is the Democrats. And that's wrong. And that's where we can't allow the media to have this much control over us. Like, really. I mean, we look at China thinking they're controlled. Open your eyes, people. We're just the same. We're not too far behind there.
You got that right.
Well, I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for this evening. Katie, I want to thank you. It was nice to meet you, and also nice to hear that there are folks out there that want to make a difference and try to get something done.
Yes, sir. Well, it was nice meeting you as well, and thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely, anytime. All right, Duke, stay with me, and Katie, you can just go ahead and close out of that. I'm going to go ahead and hit the close button on it, and we'll look forward to talking to you in the future.
All right. Well, you guys have a great evening.
All right, you too.
Good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let me double check. Somebody asked if the feed got cut. Let me make sure that we are still live here, Duke. Can anybody out there? All right, Rusty says excellent. Okay, so the feed didn't get cut. Okay, thought we had a little tech issue going on there. Well, what do you think there, Mr. Lowry?
Maybe the gatekeepers cut us off.
That's right. Facebook's looking out for Bossier Watch now.
But the thing is, would it have been the right or the left that got them to do it?
Yeah, it's hard to tell these days. So let me let's go back here. We got a couple of comments, and we'll start wrapping it up. Let's see here. Where Kara had a comment. Let me scroll up. Here we go. All right. So Miss Lowry had a comment several minutes ago. She said, "What are the consequences if they change and are no longer aligned?" Kara, I would assume the biggest thing is we got to figure out how to come up with a plan, whether it's the Patriot Movement or still the Republican Party or whatever party it is in the future, that if we get people in there and we can't get them out, well, that doesn't do any good. So we got to figure out a way to make sure that we put the right people in there and that we have mechanisms in place, you know, to make sure they get out if they're not doing the right job, or we're able to replace them.
I don't know. You know, once somebody gets in there, I mean, Rex, how many times, in which I'm not going to say the names, but you and I have sat on Republican boards and we've had people come saying they were conservative Republicans and then turned around and supported tax increases.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, people always say, "Oh, I'm conservative. Oh, I'm conservative. Oh, I'm conservative. I'm the most conservative person in the world," and then they don't follow through.
Right. All right. Well, we've got some people saying that the feed's pausing and coming back, so I don't know if we got a connection issue on my end or Facebook. But we're at 51 minutes. Let's go ahead and wrap it up for this evening. Folks, we'll be back in a few days, and we've got plenty more to talk about. It seems like every day something new is happening, and we've got lots of local elections coming up and a whole lot of things to talk about. So, Duke, got any future topics off the top of your head?
We're going to have to revisit Cypress Black Bayou.
Well, yes, we've got some interesting information, to say the least, that I can't share yet, but let's just say they are not on the back burner for very long.
No, they are not. And we still have to follow up, which I don't know. We've been talking about Republican politics a lot lately. And boy, I did a lot of work on the notes for that show, but that seems to be boring at this point.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. Folks, stay tuned. Make sure you like and follow the page and all that, because we are going to have plenty more to talk about, and we'll probably have another show within a few days, at worst early next week, probably Tuesday evening, maybe before then. So y'all stay tuned. We'll be back.
Go Tigers.